Why are you wasting your time watching this video? It's a question I'd like to ask. Question being more along the lines of, what is a waste of time? And how do we know if we are wasting time? What does that even mean? Seems like a very shallow question maybe to some people, or something very trivial, but it's a very, very important thing to me. A very crucial part of my philosophy is trying to understand the value of time, how much value we should place on the time we have here, and how much effort we should put into building something greater within this lifetime. Now, each individual has a completely different idea of what it means to be a human. We coalesce into these groups where we can bounce ideas off one another, and through these meetings we create systems, whether they be political systems or religions, and we agree upon certain ideas. So for example, one religious principle might be, well, you work hard in this life and you get a better life in the next. And another person may say, well, you've got to work hard now and make the most of it in this life. And the third person may be asking, what does it mean to work? What is working? Does it mean that you get a job and you work for someone else? Does it mean you start your own business? Does it have anything whatsoever to do with money? So let me ask you this. As an example, I guess I should first, preface this with my example. We have two different dads. One father works 100 hours a week, travels most of the time. He's basically only home to see his family about once a week. But he supports his family, he pays for his house, the mother's home with the kids, doesn't have to worry about working, they have a nice house, nice cars, the kids are well fed, nourished. Then we have the second dad, number two. He has a choice to go work out of the state for long periods of time, but he decides to take a smaller job or work for himself from home so he can spend more time with his children while they're growing up. And in this process, he's able to spend a lot more time understanding and learning and experiencing fatherhood, as opposed to just making a lot of money. They may suffer a little bit, maybe live check to check sometimes, but generally everyone's still fed and taken care of. Which father's wasting his time? Now, neither one, of course. But fast forward 20 years when that kid is grown. Now the father who was working all the time, he still has something to fall back on when his kid's grown and he's out of the house and doing his own thing. Perhaps the father that stayed at home was the greatest dad ever, but his kid turned 18 and said, "Oh, Dad, I hate you," and he left home and never came back. Then his father has nothing else to fall back on. He's dedicated his life to his children. What I'm saying is there's no right or wrong. There's no yes or no. This is a matter of perspective and feeling out each life to see, as an individual, what we need to do in our lives. And you can make mistakes. We do it all the time. I don't know. This comes from my heart because I'm wondering what I've done with my life. I feel like I've had a pretty good life overall. I've never been rich. I've never had a lot of, wealth as far as finances, but I've always had a heart, if that makes sense. And as I get older, I change. I go through a lot of different phases. One day I feel like, like I'm going to start a new business and grow and build my future. The next day I just want to go run and hide in the woods with my family and just ditch it all. And so it's an ambivalence or a cognitive dissonance, not unsure of what to do. And I think that's I hope that's universal. I don't know, because so to kind of rephrase and go back to where I'm coming from, what is wasting the time? Have I been wasting my time by not working towards like a huge monetary goal? I don't know. I won't know how I feel about that until years down the road. And like a lot of folks say, you want to be secure in your old age. But also, I want to be productive. I feel like I might contribute the most in my old age. So I just don't know. We just don't know. We could die tomorrow, or we could live for 100 years, and everybody has their own unique path. And so, as far as what wasting time is, there are a lot of people who will tell you what wasting time is. They'll tell you that idle time is, the idle mind is the devil's playground. And others will tell you you need to have an idle mind in order to process ideas. What do you believe? What path do you take? Personally, it's a little bit of everything for me. I quiet my mind when I need to. I also realize sometimes you have to take action. Lately, I haven't been able to take action. I've just been going through a phase where I'm trying to rebuild who I am and to try to motivate again like the motivation I once had when I was young, and that's difficult. And it's brought a lot of questions about what I should be doing with my time while I'm here. And a lot of people would say, oh, well, you have a YouTube channel, you're talking to people, Well, I got interrupted making my video there about wasting life, or what wasting time really is. And I was just going to leave it there, but I decided I'd just put kind of an end here to the video so I can sum up some of what I was trying to define. First off, wasting time is a subjective point of view. Coincidentally, a video came on this morning on autoplay while I was watching YouTube, and it was talking about wasting time, which I found interesting after making that video the other day. But it went on to break down, how many months of your life you spend brushing your teeth, how many years you spend on the toilet or eating food or in the bathroom. When you start to look at your life that way and you start to add up the years, sure. I mean, hell, if you live to be 100, you spend 30 years of your life sleeping. 30 years. But so what? Here we are, you've got to still got to live your life. And so, in other words, what I'm saying is that trying to add up all the time that we've wasted won't do us any good to stop wasting time in the future. If we consider something a waste of time, then that's up to us. And that's a very subjective point of view. And like I said, I don't know if I mentioned this in the other part of the video, but a good example would be using our phone. He said, a person might spend 13 years on their phone. That's only if you spend a couple hours a day on it. But are you on Facebook on your phone, sitting there reading a bunch of pointless posts and ads, or are you reading a book, let's say, on your phone, or reading an article? And for me, I'm much more into science and information, so I feel the same guilt when I'm using my devices or watching the television as because of the pressure to myself from society and myself to know that I shouldn't be wasting time watching TV. But then I say, well, I'm not watching TV, I'm watching a documentary or something educational. And so it's really up to the individual as to what they want to consume as far as, we are a consumer culture. We have ourselves to the point now where we have a lot more free time than we ever had before. And I would argue that our ancestors wasted a lot of time working because that's what they had to do to survive. And now that we can make it by working less and we have more in our society, it gives us more free time, and therefore it's causing us a lot more pain. And a person may think it would be the opposite, but too much time causes idle thoughts. And there's a saying, the idle mind is the devil's playground, and I believe that's it. Having an idle mind is very important sometimes. I should say having a calm, collected mind to be able to think things through. But as far as being, as far as just being idle and doing nothing, we will start to feel like we're wasting time. So we're all dust in the wind, right? What's the point? To sum it up, I guess there's only 3 things that I really think life is, that you won't regret in life. And one of those is make memories, make many creations, invent something, whatever it might be, even if it's a book, an idea, something, and make good choices. The only things we really regret are the choices that we didn't make. Even if we make a bad choice, at least we made a choice. So taking action, creating things, and working towards something, however simple it might be, can be life-changing for people. And the last thing I'd like to say is to balance happiness with the real. And what I mean by that is we want to be as happy as possible. And I've said before that there's a balance, that there has to be ups to be downs and vice versa. But I'd like to also say that we can adjust the ups In other words, you can hang on to a happy feeling if you choose to embrace that happy feeling. Sometimes people let that happy go because they feel like they don't deserve it. Like, I shouldn't enjoy this, or I don't deserve this, or we deserve everything that we get. If we any happy feeling that comes our way, embrace that. And when the negative comes, choose to look at it differently. And then you'll find some of the things you once thought were wasting time are really just processing. So I'll leave it at that without getting too much in depth. I'll end up going on and on and on and on. So thanks again for watching, and thanks to my subscribers, thanks to my patrons, and thanks to everybody who comments and makes this channel worth keeping all these years. Be well, my friends. It's a double rainbow!
That guy.